Gold can take many different forms, and when you're a buyer of it, there can sometimes be too many choices to make the right choice. So in today's video, I want to talk about some of the biggest pitfalls, like this coin here, you might make when buying gold. Or you could make the right decision and buy beautiful sovereigns, or even the cheapest possible gold out there on the market. But be careful, there are always dangers. So today we're going to take a deep dive into some of the biggest pitfalls that you might encounter buying gold. Hello everybody, Backyard Bullion here, and a very warm welcome to you all joining me for another precious metal ramble. I'm going to talk today about keeping safe when buying gold. It's a topic that I feel very strongly about, as if you get something wrong with gold and you've got a big purchase, it can cost you an awful lot if you've made that mistake. And there's a few specific areas that I want to focus on here today, including just general common sense when buying gold. Cheap doesn't necessarily always mean the best, as this metal ore 50 gram demonstrates, being a beautiful bar but really only worth 1 or 2% above spot at the best, and from dealers a lot less. Sovereigns, that's one that I definitely want to touch on in today's video, because sovereigns, whilst incredible and have some real collectability and history to them, the word sovereign is not one that's trademarked or copyrighted by the Royal Mint, and there are plenty of third-party mints that just make sovereigns. And this coin here is an example. It looks beautiful, but it's really not collectible. It's not a sovereign. Sovereign collectors don't like them, and ultimately I got this for 2% over spot price, which when you compare it with the 40% over spot price that the manufacturer charged for it, gosh, you can see the swing there. And then lastly, we're going to touch a little bit here on graded coins, graded gold, and bullion graded gold specifically. So lots of really interesting bits to go through, and I hope there's something in this video for everyone. So please let me know your thoughts down in that comment section about your tips for keeping safe when buying gold, and we'll go into that comments and have a good fun chat. So first up, let's talk about this bar. It's a beautiful bar. It's sent in for the Backyard Bullion Buyers Club to be sold on behalf of a customer. And it's a customer I've worked with before, and he was very much under the impression that we wouldn't get a particularly great price for it. I said to him, look, this is a great bar. It's lovely, it's beautiful. But the problem with these bars is that they are not particularly popular when it comes to the general market. And the reason for that is that bars in assay cards like this are notorious for fakes. And they are really heavily faked as well, because of course if somebody can make one of these for a few pounds, glass it up and put it in a beautiful looking assay card and make £1,500 to £2,000 on it, that's a lot of potential reward for your risk. So there are plenty of examples of fake bars in assay, and unfortunately they catch a lot of people out, because you see them up for sale on places like eBay, and it's very difficult to tell sometimes. The sellers will be very sort of nefarious in their exact photographing of the bar. Often what you can really do is have a look at the width of a bar to really see. This one is of course really very thin in its profile. Most commonly is the 1 ounce bars, but they go for very cheap and people buy them, and then people are surprised when they come to the other end that it's a fake. Education of your own, understanding of what is good and what is bad is critical, and in my opinion, assay bars are not a mass market popular thing. They're very pretty and very good, but generally very, very cheap to spot when you come to sell. Most dealers will probably pay you a few percentage points under spot price, if not a little bit more. I've seen some dealers in London put 95%, 92% even on these types of bars. This one particular here sold for 1% over spot in the end, which is of course not the greatest price for anyone to achieve, and the seller was understanding of that. It's one of these things where, again, if you've taken it to a dealer, he gets less anyway. So it's one of those things. Assay card bars, not great. So the next thing is sovereigns. Now, sovereigns are a fantastic coin. I love sovereigns, and this year is going to be the year of the sovereign for the Backyard Bullion stack. I'm going to hopefully get myself a fair amount of them, and by doing that I'm going to be exchanging other bits of gold from my stack for them. But they're beautiful and they're fantastic, and this little batch I got around Christmas is stunning. However, it's not common knowledge that the sovereign itself, the coin name, the sovereign, is not something that's trademarked by the Royal Mint. Now, everybody who's got any kind of vested interest in coins will know what a sovereign is. You say, what's a sovereign? It's a collectible gold coin. It's, in my opinion, one of the quintessential collectible gold coins in the world, not just in the coin markets, but just everyone knows what a sovereign is. But also, there are private third-party mints that make sovereigns, and there's ultimately nothing illegal or wrong with that. I mean, it's taken to court, and the sovereign is not trademarked, so fair game. But unfortunately, there are a lot of various different companies out there that make products which look very good, but have limited collectability. And why that matters is if this was sold for 3% over spot, brilliant, fine. I'd be a buyer of it. In fact, I was a buyer of this at, I think it was 2% over that the seller asked for in the end. But the problem is that these companies make these coins and then they market them out in ways which are sometimes misleading, sometimes morally grey at the best, and targeted to people who perhaps don't know better. And that's something that I really don't like. So that, from my perspective here, if I can just stop one person buying a sovereign that isn't a sovereign, then that's mission accomplished, because a coin like this would have been bought brand new from whichever place made it. I'm not going to name them here. But they would have probably charged for a double sovereign like this over £1,000. I bought it for 720. And that's exactly what you'll expect to get from it at the other end. A dealer, spot, less than spot, probably 98% spot for a coin like this. There's just no collectability. There's no aftermarket for this. Mass market. There will be some, unfortunately, poor... I don't want to use the word poor saps because it's not really the right demonstration. I think a lot of the time there is misleading, there's mis-selling of these types of things. And unfortunately, people get brought into it and fall for it, and it's something that's quite sad, really. So sovereigns, if it's not from the Royal Mint, if it does not have on the back the Queen or now the King's effigy, and it's not from the United Kingdom, it's not a real sovereign. They call it a sovereign, but it's not a sovereign. Royal Mint sovereigns are better. They will have more liquidity, you'll get them for cheaper prices, and they won't be... I mean, this is nice, but they won't cost you an arm and a leg across their lifetime. That's something that is really, really important for people. Again, nice coin, but just not worth the £1,000+ that is coming out from it. Last up, let's talk about graded coins. Now, graded coins is one of these really... I sometimes find it quite an incendiary topic, because there are some people out there who swear blindly that grading your coins, grading bullion coins and grading proof coins is the best thing to do. My advice for graded coins is, if you want to have a coin that's preserved, or you want to preserve a coin, if you want to have something that's easy to handle, you can definitely appreciate that a coin here in this slab versus this capsule here, or even just a coin I don't have, well, like the sovereigns, just loose in a bag. It's nicer. It's got a good presentation to it, but you are going to pay for that presentation. To put a coin in a slab does cost money. But should you pay attention to this number up here? Not massively. And it's a common thing that people have said before: buy the coin, don't buy the number on the slab. And that's very, very true. But there are, unfortunately, a lot of people who just flat out think that having the best graded coin in a particular variety is the only way to collect these coins, and unfortunately that's not always the case, as is again self-evident by this particular coin, which is a beautiful 2009 proof Britannia that came in at PF69. And you look at the market today and you go, there are PF69s of the great engravers or various other Royal Mint coins, and they go for well over their price from Royal Mint. They're profitable, they're great. Well, if I told you that this again was 2% over spot price when I bought it, then you might think to yourself, okay, yeah, that's not necessarily a particularly great return. So it's all relative, and it's all important to think about why you're buying the gold. What exactly are you looking to achieve with that gold purchase? Is it just simply to get the most weight for your money in this 50-gram gold bar? 1% over spot, which is what I sold it for this week. But you could probably get it for around spot if you were really... I'm sure the seller would have accepted a spot price offer. We got it for 1% over. Is that the option for you? Or do you want to just, You don't collect these, just don't. But do you want to get beautiful coins at a couple of percentage over spot? Oh, look at that, you get a beautiful reflection of the sovereign in this sunlight. Or, have this beautiful collectability, have something that is world known, something that people will want to get in time. Or do you go for just bullion coins? Bullion gold is sometimes just the way forwards. Now, there are a variety of different things that you can do with bullion. You can have some semi-numismatic coins like the Royal Tudor Beast series, the Queen's Beast series. My experience of those in terms of liquidity is an interesting one because Queen's Beast 1 ounce golds, of course, pretty decent premium on the Griffin, the Lion, the Dragon, etc. But they're difficult to sell at those premiums. Anything that you want to sell at the other end, you've got to think about it like this. If it's gold and you're trying to sell it at the other end at a high premium, why is that premium going to happen? Is there a market for it? Is there a collectability for it? Look at this as an example. Is there a market for this? Very, very slim and limited, despite what some of the companies that make these types of coins might tell you. Is there going to be a mass market for it? Absolutely not. So why would somebody pay a stupid amount of money for this? They're just not going to. Sovereigns. Again, you ask yourself, is there a mass market for sovereigns? Yes, of course there is. But because of the volume of sovereigns out there and the types of market out there for them, throwing my sovereigns all over the place. But that's the beauty of these sovereigns. They were made to be handled and made to be touched like this. But the point here is they have a mass market. They're cheap. You're going to be able to sell them quickly if you need to, and you're not going to have a big swing in price. Some coins like this, if you've got a vested interest and a profit holding in them, you're going to struggle to sell it at that profit. But bullion gold, generally speaking, absolutely no issues with liquidity whatsoever. It will sell. It's just about how much the swing is and how much you're willing to risk. Now, for me, sovereign gold is the quintessential risk-averse investment. Things like this have their difficulties because, of course, there are going to be people who will not want to buy it for the fear of it being a fake. But generally speaking, the lower the price of the gold premium that you buy at the beginning, the easier time you'll have at the other end. If you buy things like these coins at high premiums, you're setting yourself up to fail, unfortunately. So, there we have my thoughts on gold and silver. I still think that the most fascinating thing is that the Royal Mint have not been able to trademark the term sovereign and actually coin that phrase, so to speak. And it is something that's taken advantage of. I see so many different after or third market products like this that just, quite frankly, are not worth what they are charged for brand new. And you know that because half the time, you get these 1/8 sovereigns from Tristan da Cunha or wherever it is, and they are, they're discounted, aren't they? From like £69.99 to £21, which makes it like 10% over spot price. But it's like that nefarious thing. If you discount something heavily, it makes it look like it's a better deal to someone than it actually is, and that's exactly what's happening on some of these occasions. So very, very difficult. But hopefully some of my insights here today will help people make the right decisions, especially when it comes to coins like this, and perhaps only buying them on the second-hand market for dirt cheap spot prices. So yes, love to hear from you down in the comment section. If you're a Backyard Bullion Rambling Society member, thank you very much. You know what I'm going to say. You are cool and you're in the Cool Kids Club. Thank you. If you are watching to this point, you know what that means, then you're in the club. Thank you. It's just people who watch to the end of my videos. If you haven't joined our newsletter, then now will be the time, as more product will be out probably at the time this video is published. If you want to go and check out what we've got for sale, I think there's going to be some Britannias today. Have a look down in the description box for the link to my website. Otherwise, that is it from me. We'll see you on the next one. I have a Royal Mint dispatch notification. I think it's the memorial coins. So those will be Friday's video, Friday's In Focus Friday. That's something definitely to look forward to. And if you've not subscribed, then what are you doing? You're watching 14 minutes of my video. Hit that subscribe button, for God's sake. We'll see you on the next one. And as always, please make sure that you like, share, comment, and subscribe for more.